So what do you get when you mix members from some pretty iconic bands like Jethro Tull, Supertramp, Rainbow, The Cutting Crew, with a handful of other pretty iconic musicians across multiple generations and genres? Well, you might get something that sounds like this. That's Leslie Mandoki and the Mandoki Soulmates.
Blood in the water, deep water, blood in the water. I see blood in the water.
Somewhere back within my social media posts, if you look deep enough on a number of platforms, you're going to find a topic of conversation to which a handful of people left the comment, "They're just a drummer." To which my response is, anybody who thinks you can generalize the value, the contribution of an individual to a band based off of the instrument that they play needs to rethink their position, because they've clearly never met Leslie Mandoki.
Mandoki is a strange man. I mean, he's I don't know anybody else in the world that can pull this off. You know?
Leslie Mandoki will always be in the middle here because he's the one that really brought us all together and united this group.
Well, he's a guy that pulls everyone together. He's got to be really strong, and he's got to be very far thinking. It's nice to relax under the umbrella of Leslie. He's like a big umbrella.
I would like to introduce you to the god of this concert, Leslie Mandoki.
The Don and I, as FM 2.0, had the opportunity to speak with Leslie Mandoki, and not just about the Mandoki Soulmates' new album, A Memory of Our Future, but about a larger perspective that he has, a perspective largely influenced by his past.
I was 22, and I escaped through a tunnel of this Russian-oriented, horrible Eastern Bloc behind the Iron Curtain, and music was for us meaning freedom. You know, if you had a 7th generation mono tape copy of a Jethro Tull album, you were just the king. And I had an imagination that I would like to merge British prog rock, so let's say represented by Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, with American fusion jazz, let's say represented by L.D. Maola. This was the idea. And my teenage band was playing that kind of music, so a bit more virtuoso than the British prog rock, but that intellectual, lyrical, and complexity. And as we escaped through the tunnel, and I was touching down in the central refugee camp of Germany, and the CIA was controlling that camp, and the officer was asking him, he said, "Boy, I really understand that you wanted to escape communism. I mean, it's great in you that you made it. But what the hell are you going to do now in the freedom? Because I really want to know." And he was just writing it down in my application form for asylum. And I said, I would like to start a band with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, with Jack Bruce of Cream, and with L.D. Maola.
Just to be clear, hard times creating hard people. Hard people making easy times. Easy times creating easy people. And easy people bring us hard times again. No way out in this circle in the round.
As I was 16, my father died. He lost his fight against cancer. And he said on his deathbed, actually, "Boy, you have to promise me something." He was very American-minded. He never been in America. He was living all his life behind the Iron Curtain. And he said, "You have to promise me something, boy, that my grandchildren are never going to meet my life, never have to read censored papers." And I said, "Dad, but there is the Iron Curtain." And he said, "There's nothing for you. You have to find your way, and you have to live your dreams and don't dream your life." So I said that to the officer as I was 22. My father said that on his deathbed, I should live my dreams. I should not dream my life. And my vision is to start the band with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull and Jack Bruce of Cream and L.D. Maola. And he said, "Okay, boy, good luck."
You know, it's probably safe to say that many of us are guilty of taking for granted the opportunities that are available to us, which is why it's always eye-opening to meet somebody like Leslie Mandoki, who came from an environment where there really were limited opportunities, but once given the shot, he took full advantage of the new opportunities available to him. And you could say that he really has lived his dream rather than dreaming his life, because he would go on to form a band with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, Jack Bruce of Cream, Al Di Meola, and so many other incredible musicians, and not just making great music, but creating music with a powerful message.
Social media becomes a devil's encyclopedia. Social media becomes a devil's encyclopedia.
The freedom of a free mind is a line that resonated with me, because even though we live in a free society, there are still people at play trying to push narratives all over the place and censoring things. You know, that was one of the things you said behind the Iron Curtain about freedom of speech, you know, being able to say or not get censored. And yet we live in a world where censorship has become a thing.
This is one of those albums that's so rich with layers and different genres and styles and textures, colors. It's probably honestly one of probably 3 albums that I can think of that over the last 20 years I have been so excited about that I tell everybody about it, that if you come and visit me in my house, I will literally go and get the record, put it on the player and be like, you got to check this out. And the thing that's happened on numerous occasions is the moment I start playing the record, the room goes silent. And we just sit there and we listen to the music, we listen to the lyrics. It just takes us away. And it's a double album. And we ride in silence the entire journey from the first song to the last. And on a couple occasions, we put the first record back on and start it all over again. It really is that powerful of an album.
It was so important. Music was so, because Stalin and Hitler agreed on it, that they have to kill everything what is free. So jazz was the enemy, because back then, jazz was the free mind. So later on, as prog rock and jazz fusion became the soundtrack of free mind. It was totally killed in the Eastern Hemisphere, and it's, maybe you in America didn't realize that how much was how meaningful it was for us behind the Iron Curtain, but it was. So that's why it's so important. I have a huge responsibility now to point out that the freedom is not self-explainingly naturally comes. We have to keep this fire. This original American idea of individual freedom, and we should not enter into this total division, where we are right now.
In a digital world with a growing artificial intelligence presence, one of the things that's been kind of interesting for me when I observe people listening to the album for the first time is the common use of the word organic. People talk about how it just has this feeling. It's organic. It's different, yet it's familiar, something that they haven't experienced in a very long time. And sure enough, Leslie explained to us that the entire recording process was analog.
That's why it's an analog album. Why? Because analog recording is like a handwritten letter. It's not like a text message. Because the whole art, it takes place while during the recording and not in the post-production. And that's why it was so important that we got together in the studio. We had old tape machines, all these 2-inch tape machines in the basement. We just bring them up again, and we just maintained and restored everything and lined them up, and it was sounding so great. It was so great again to sit around the instruments, and to make a circle of musicians and to play again.
This land is full of tears after decades of fears. Now the wanderer's just gone with a swan to follow the sun. Looks like his time is come.
In many ways, music has followed a similar path as food has over the last few decades. It's become mass-produced, highly processed, and really lacking in nutritional value. But this album, I would say, is probably good for the soul. You'll be able to see the entire interview on popular podcast sites, as well as on fm2-0.com. And if you find that you really love the album, towards the end of our interview with Leslie, we started coming up with some really cool ideas on things that we could do in partnership with him to really help take the message of the album out to the public. And if you love it, consider joining the FM 2.0 community so that you can participate in the upcoming events. And with that, please give it a listen. Let me know what you think.
When I was your age, my son, I was a wanderer myself.